Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Olivia and this is my channel where I love to talk about all things nail polish. You know, it's been a while since we've done more of a chatty video, and so I thought, hey, let's do that today, especially since on the day that I'm filming this, April 14th, the nail polish brand ILNP announced that they are soon going to be retiring. I'm looking down at my iPad here if you see me looking down. 73 of the shades in their catalog. Now, they have hundreds upon hundreds of polishes in their catalog. I believe someone on Reddit in the thread that's being used to discuss this said they have that ILNP's catalog has like over 700 polishes. So and also my understanding is that they very rarely retire shades, and when they do, they give ample notice like they're doing now. But with that being said, I do know that many of you who watch my videos are personally on a low buy or a no buy. And when the news of something like this pops up, that can potentially cause you to have to evaluate, do I go shopping now? Like, what does this mean for me personally? And so that's why I'm here. I'm not here to tell you like, hey, here's absolutely what you should do or should not do, but the way I'm going to structure this video is to first read the announcement from ILNP so that anyone, if you're watching this and you have no idea what I'm talking about, you'll be able to have the details about that. And then after that, I've organized my notes into when it might make sense for you to do some shopping with this upcoming sale and retirement, and then after that, I'm going to talk about my ideas on when it might not make sense for you to do some shopping. And then the last thing to close out, like I often do in chatty videos, I'll just give y'all like some life updates. Nothing like big or major, but just letting you all know how I'm doing, stuff like that, in case you're curious. As always, things are going to be timestamped, so feel free to jump around and let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so first I want to begin by reading the letter that Barbara, the founder of ILNP, put on their website. I will put a link to this in the video description along with a direct link to the page where you can see the 73 shades that will be retiring. The letter says, "Hi ILNP family, it's time for a little spring cleaning. We're going to be retiring 73 shades on April 24th, 2026. You can find the full list of shades here," and there's a link. "The retiring polishes will be discounted 15% from April 17th, 2026 until April 24th, 2026. There's no coupon code needed. We're also going to extend our $1 off launch discount on the Pop collection, which is their newest collection that's coming out, until April 24th to avoid any confusion. There's no need to rush to place your order. Polishes will not go out of stock until the end of the sale. We're not going anywhere, just cleaning up our catalog a little bit. Thank you so much for your support always. I can never say it enough. Barbara, I don't know how she pronounces her last name. I'm just gonna say Barbara, the founder of ILNP. Okay, so that was the announcement. And I will start by saying that when I saw that, I started going through my own mental motions of what that might mean for me. Like, does this mean, well, first I wanted to check and see what the shades were. Thankfully, in my case, none of the ILNP polishes that I most frequently use were on there, but I know for other people, there are some of their favorites on there that unfortunately will be retired. So now let's start by talking about my ideas for, especially if you are someone who is currently on a low buy or a no buy, but maybe you're on a no buy and you're kind of okay with, like, you know, making very rare exceptions. When might it make sense for you to shop this retirement sale? First, if one of these retiring polishes has been on your wish list for a while and you were waiting for ILNP's next Black Friday sale to come up, Now, ILNP does their biggest sale of the year on around Black Friday, and that's when many people will reserve their wish list for getting the biggest discount and shopping then. So, for example, it might be the case that you find out about a polish that is interesting to you in February, but you want to, like, it's not a super urgent one for you, so you're okay with waiting until you can get a really good discount on it. So you'll say, all right, it'll stay on my wish list until Black Friday, and I'll get it then. But if one of these retiring shades is on your wish list and you were thinking about waiting until Black Friday, that I feel could be a good reason to go ahead and get it now while you still can. And the other idea that I have for when it might make sense is if you're running low on your current bottle on one of those polishes and you want to buy a backup of it. Now, I'm going to have another note about backups in my when it might not make sense section coming up, so I'm not going to say too much about this right now. But especially if you are running super low and this is a polish that you are, you want to have another one of, it could make sense for you to look into buying another one if, of course, it fits within your budget. So now let's switch over to when it might not make sense. I'm just going to start by saying it might not make sense to break a low buy or a no buy to shop this retirement sale if the 15% discount on those retiring polishes is the main draw for you. Now, and this is where I think that the psychology of shopping can be very interesting. And I'll preface this by saying I am not a psychologist. I don't know. Anything that I'm saying is not to be taken as like scientific fact, but it's just more of the way that I think, at least. So I know when I see that there's going to be a sale, and especially if there's like 2 digits in the percentage of the sale, it's like, oh, that's something. If it's just like a 5% discount, my mind's just like, nah, that's not really much. But then as soon as it crosses over into like 2 digits, then we can start to maybe have a conversation. But at the same time, I feel that it's important to do the actual financial math of this and have a better understanding of what that savings would actually be in this case. So 15%. So, okay. The bottles at ILNP are, I believe all of the ones that are retiring are all, if not most of them, are their specialty finish polishes and not the like creams or jellies or crellies. The ones that are retiring are at that regular price of $12.50. If you take 15% of $12.50, that's only approximately $1.88. So what I'm saying is, if you were someone who prior to today and hearing this announcement, you were not at all thinking about shopping at ILNP right now, you were not at all thinking about buying any of those polishes in particular, I understand how seeing that there's a 15% discount can be tempting, but then I would encourage you to consider it from the perspective of, are you really going to be saving $1.88 overall if that means that you're going to have to spend, I didn't do the math of whatever $12.50 minus $1.88 is, but like, you know what I'm saying. If you're gonna have to spend the like $11 or whatever in order to get that savings. And for me personally, when I think about it like that, it's like, oh, okay. Part of my brain is like drawn to that dopamine of like, ooh, that's a new deal. I can look into that. That's cool. But then the more rational, logical part of my brain is like, yeah, it's a deal, but it's only a deal if I'm spending money that prior to this moment, I wasn't thinking about spending. So, I would also, the next point that I have for when it might not make sense to shop this retirement sale would be if you already own polishes that are pretty close to the ones that will be retiring. And this is where, as always, I encourage you to take a look through your existing collection and see what you have. You know, if you do decide to go on to the list of retiring shades and make a wish list, then before you decide, yes, for sure, I'm definitely buying these, take some time to compare what is on your wish list to what you actually have. Now, let's say it's the case that you do find some that are similar, but you're like, I still want this anyway. That would be when I would encourage you to ask yourself, all right, so I'll just use myself for an example. Let's say I decide to go through this process and I see like a light pink holographic polish that's retiring, that's looking really cute. Again, this is hypothetical. I don't even know if there's one that's like that. This is just an example, right? So I see a light pink hollow polish, like that's cute. I'm adding it to my wish list. Then I take a look through my collection and I see, oh, I actually already have a somewhat similar light pink hollow polish. Part of me is still thinking like, but I still want it because it's somehow different. And sure, you know what? It probably is in fact different. But then the next question that I would encourage you to ask yourself is that kind of polish one that you wear frequently enough to where you could reasonably justify having multiple versions of a similar type? Again, using myself as an example, y'all know how I am with my dark red vampy polishes. That is my like palette cleanser. That is my comfort zone. The rate at which I go through dark red vampy polishes is something. Yes. But you know what? Part of it is like it works for me. I think also because it matches my hair. It works well with my complexion. I feel like it's a good like neutral color to wear for work at times when I'm just like, I'm not sure what I want to wear, but let's go with the dark red, you know? So for me, having a good variety of dark vampy red polishes, I am generally okay with adding another one in because I know that that's a type of polish that I'm frequently going to use. But light pink hollow, you know, I don't really reach for that. So if you can relate to that, and please be honest with yourself, because you don't want it to be the case that you spend money on a polish that is looking interesting and unique to you right now, and you get excited from that dopamine rush of seeing it and liking it and wanting it and then buying it, and then you get that rush when you get it in the mail. And then maybe it sits for months untried because you already have one like it. So just think about it. Just take some time and be honest with yourself. And the last point that I have here for the times when it might not make sense is connecting back to what I mentioned earlier about if you're running low on your current bottle and you want to buy a backup or two. Might not make sense if you are someone who does not often actually need to use your backup bottles. So I'm so sorry, not sorry that I'm you know, I know that for myself, I'm having to be real honest with myself and reflect on my relationship with nail polish and kind of call myself out sometimes on, wow, like I bought a backup of that bottle, but like, when was the last time I even wore the polish, like the first bottle that I've got, you know? But prior to this, what I decided to do, I have like a pile. I really should get like a bin for them, but currently they're not in a pile. They're gathered in a collection on the floor by my nail desk. I have a collection of polishes where the amount of polish in the bottle has run down so low that it's easier for me to start using the backup bottle that I have. And then when that bottle gets kind of low, what I'll then do is combine the two, and then we're working with that again. I was curious to see like how many bottles do I currently have where that is the case. For me, I currently have 13 bottles of nail polish, where the one that I'm actively using is what was the backup bottle of it. And so for some of them, I'm currently on my, maybe it's not just a second, this might even be the third bottle of that. So that could be a good gut check for you. Like, are you someone who is in the habit of buying backup bottles, but you've never really used backup bottles because you are someone who has a nail polish routine preference where you tend to diversify the polishes that you wear? Like if you're someone who very rarely goes back and repeats the same polish in a short period of time, you might be somebody who doesn't really use backups. And in which case, if you're telling yourself that you need to shop the ILNP retirement sale because you need some backups, you see what I'm saying? Like, just be honest with yourself. But if you're like me and you've got a bunch of polishes that are, you've used up so much that you are needing to pull from the backups, then you can say, yeah, that would make sense. Like I said, there's no right or wrong for this. It's really all about what comes down to your individual circumstances. And, a big part of why I wanted to make this video was because I know that many of you might be struggling with this feeling of trying to stick to a low buy or a no buy, but then suddenly there's this big flashy sale in front of you that you were not expecting to see. I just want to say that if you are feeling that this is a challenge for you, I want to validate and normalize that, because it's completely understandable why you might be thrown off guard by something that's kind of popped up out of nowhere. And some additional advice I have for this would be, if you feel the need, if it's the case that you are considering buying nail polish instead of using that money to pay your rent, to pay your bills, to pay for groceries. If you're like, you know what, I can just put it on a credit card, I can just do Afterpay or pay in full, whatever. Please, do what you need to do to step away from nail polish content. And I recognize the irony of me saying that, because I am nail polish content, but you know what I mean. Put some things on mute if you need to, and whatever you need, I think could be very helpful with that. One other thing that I just thought about that I want to add in here that wasn't on my initial agenda, but that came to mind as I was sitting here filming this was, I know there's recently been, at least in the Reddit Lacaristas group and some Facebook groups that I'm in for nail polish, a bit of discussion lately around this topic of FOMO, fear of missing out. And I personally have chosen not to engage in those conversations, because I've noticed a trend where sometimes things can get pretty heated when one person might have a misunderstanding about how another person was interpreting the term FOMO. And I think I might have said it in one of my Let's Chat videos at some point. If I haven't, if I'm saying it now, it is absolutely okay to figure out when you as an individual need to either step away from a conversation or not even engage in a conversation to begin with, in order to protect your own personal sense of peace. Just look from the outside like I do. And I get it. I think that some people, I'm not trying to speak on behalf of anybody, but just gathering the sense from what I've been reading is that some people believe that some indie makers intentionally drive up FOMO because of the way that they are marketing their polishes and the way that they are making limited amounts available for a certain window of time. When, some of the comments are like, why don't they just make more? Why don't they keep more in stock? Things like that. And other people have the stance of, if this concept of FOMO is in fact something that exists. It's less to do with the, something that's being created by the indie makers themselves, and more to do with people as individuals and how they internally are creating their own sense of FOMO. So, I'll say, here's my thoughts on this. Each indie maker is able to create whatever conditions they are choosing to create for the way that they run their shop. And so far as things like how many polishes they have in stock at a particular time, how long ordering windows are open, things like that. And I believe that, especially when it's the case that a maker will put all their cards out on the table and be very clear and say, hey, here's what I've got, here's the way this is going to work, have at it, then it's up to me as the consumer to take a look at all of that information, compare it against my personal financial situation, and then it's up to me to decide whether or not I want to participate in buying from them and engage with that. And I also know, just as a side note, I'm realizing that another piece of FOMO that is discussed is when you have these monthly polish boxes, like Polish Pickup, Hella Handmade Creations, Little Box of Horrors, etc., that some people say they don't shop with because they feel that there's a sense of FOMO, that if you miss that ordering window, you're missing out, and so on, which I get. But I don't know if I'm articulating my thoughts on this well right now, but the main thing I'm feeling is that somehow this term FOMO has just become a really hot phrase in the nail polish community lately. And I just see it being thrown around left and right, even at times where it's being used in a way that is not actually FOMO. And it's being often used as a way for some people to talk badly of makers that they are choosing not to purchase from. And, to each their own. In order to protect my peace, lately, as I've been seeing more and more of these conversations, I know earlier I said, ooh, I'm nosy, I'm gonna look, but I'm realizing that sometimes the discourse can just be so heated that I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to engage. I'm just going to close this up and move on to the next one. And I hope that things may change at some point to where fear of missing out can be a topic that is easier for people to discuss. But for the time being, and I wonder if, the current economic situation and just the rising prices of everything, and people needing to make a lot more choices about what they're buying and from where and how often, to what extent that's contributing to this feeling from that. I'd be curious to know in the comments if any of you can relate to what I'm saying. Like, have any of you been picking up on this sentiment as well? That I saw a Reddit thread the other day, and again, I know I'm contradicting myself, where I'm like, I'm nosy, but I stay away. But I'm reading. On any given day, honestly, it can vary. But there was one thread I saw where someone was in the comments trying to explain to somebody else why she had said something, because it was her understanding of the term FOMO, but then someone else and by the end, I don't know, it was just like there was a misunderstanding, and then the first person she said something to the effect of, like, she was feeling so frustrated and trying to explain herself, and it just was hard for her, and it was something that she wasn't expecting to get that response. And that is another reason why have started to become more intentional about how I choose to protect my peace when it comes to participating in certain online discussions. It can often be difficult to convey meaning, tone, nuance, and intent through written text. And again, it's I I know that was a little bit rambly. I don't even know what my overall point on FOMO is, but I just kind of had to say something. Because it feels like it's part of this. Yeah. Woo. So, and just to kind of start closing things out on a much lighter note, how am I doing in life? I feel like I'm doing great. As many of you know, I started a new job a few weeks ago. It has been wonderful. Everyone has been so warm and welcoming and kind. I was in this one meeting with a few new colleagues the other day, and I was asked to introduce myself, and I did. And one of my coworkers spoke up and was like, "Hey, and you all should know, like, she's really cool. She even has a YouTube channel about nail polish." And everyone else was like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And before I knew it, one of them was like started sharing his screen in the call and was on YouTube. He was like, "What's the name of your channel?" And I was like, "Only Nails." And then it got pulled up, and and then he subscribed. So, hey. But I think that I'm sharing this because it is, it really means a lot to me when I'm in a place where I can show up as my true, authentic self, my true, weird, creative self, and have that be something that is not only seen and acknowledged by the people that I'm around, but in fact, celebrated. And I've been able to do that at my new company. It's been fantastic. I would also say that, I mentioned in one of my other videos some just overall like job search advice that I would share, or that I shared in that video, whichever one it was, as it relates to like how to best put yourself out there when you're talking about like what your skills are and what you have to offer. And I think that I would add on to that and say, from my experience, if you are someone who has been considering, do you or should you not try to take that leap to move from one job situation to another, especially when you've been at one place for a very long time and it may not be the best situation for you, but it's a situation that you know. It can be scary to try to move over to something else. And of course, you always want to consider your financial and personal situation before you leave one thing and start another. But I've got to say that I'm really proud of myself for recognizing when I needed change and doing something about that. Because over the past few weeks, there have been many moments where I kind of had to pause and just kind of be like, whoa, wait, what's going on? Because nature is healing. And by nature, I mean me. Like, I don't think I realized just how difficult things were becoming for me in many ways. And I'm very glad that things are getting better for me. So it's kind of scary when I look back and I think like I was, trying to hold things together. I was going through it, but all of this is to say, make sure that, you take care of yourself. And I feel that one of the great things about all of us having nail polish as a hobby is that even in times of darkness, nail polish is, let me rephrase that. Even in times of darkness, I hope that you all are able to turn to your nail polish hobby as something that can provide you with a source of love, light, and hope, because I know that is absolutely what it has done for me. And so, with all of that being said, I hope that this video was helpful for you all as you're considering how you personally want to navigate the ILNP retirement sale. Please let me know in the comments what your plans are. Are you on a low buy, no buy? Are you gonna go shopping? And if so, which shades? It's something that might be helpful for other people to hear if there are some recommendations that you might have, because I know that many people who watch my videos are not necessarily on low buys or no buys. So I do want to make it clear that all are welcome here on this channel. Yeah, as always, thank you all so much for being here on this channel. I always appreciate you, and do not take for granted the time and energy that you choose to spend here with me. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.